Hi everyone, welcome back to my service videos. So this is part 3, which is the second part of the 3 monthly checks. I don't want to do these videos too long, that's why I stopped that one halfway through there. And I'm trying to do it systematically, so I thought if I could cover everything in the first part, that was the rear end of the vehicle, stop it there, and then for this part I'm going to look at basically the front end, including the engine bay and the interior. And then that'll cover all the 3 monthly checks. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm not lucky enough to have a ramp or a pit, or the space to have a ramp or a pit. Maybe one day, but not at the moment. Like a lot of people out there, you know, you're working with what you have. So yeah, that's why I've done it split into 2. So in this part, I'm going to continue with the 3 monthly checks. So hopefully you're enjoying these videos. Give me your feedback, let me know, like them or not. I'm always happy to hear comments. Right, the spark plug check. So to check the spark plugs, we're basically going to take the HT leads off and we're going to check the spark plugs. The condition of the plugs inside will give us an indication of how the engine's performing inside and what the fuel mixture's like. I'll put up a few pictures to show you what we could be looking for and what the condition of the spark plugs will indicate to us. So let's take the plugs off and have a look. Right, so to get the HT leads off, we're just going to put our thumbs at the bottom of this and just pop it off. It'll come off fairly easy. And just sit them to one side so they're not going to get in the way. Right, so I'm going to use a special spark plug socket, the difference being it's got the rubber part in here and it's deep, so that basically the rubber part sits around the insulation part of the plug and basically keeps it flat on it. So the size I've got here is a 21mm or a 3/16. Before we take this out, what I'm going to check is there's no debris around about this bit here that could then fall into the engine, any rust or anything sitting there, because we don't want any crap falling in the engine. So there, quite black and sooty on there, which indicates that basically my car has been over fueling with the carbon build-ups. But I knew that because I've had a few issues with the thermostat and the other sensors on it. So yep, there's one. Let's see what the rest look like. Pretty much the same. So all the same. Like I say, I will go over a chart to show you what these parts here should look like and what it indicates. The gap we can see here is very important. That on the Mini is specified to be 0.8mm. Check that with a feeler gauge. So basically when you put that in, you set it to 0.8mm, put that in, there should be a drag on it. It should be able to move, but there should be a drag on it. So it's important that you get the right kind of spark plugs, but it's also important that you get the right gap here. So if you're not renewing them, you can just give them a slight clean with a wire brush, just to get rid of the deposits off. If they're in good condition, yeah, that's fine. But me personally, they cost about £2 each. They're always going to get renewed. So that's how you check your spark plugs. Fairly straightforward. Right, we're going to check the condition of the fan belt. So firstly, you get the midway point here between the alternator pulley and the water pump pulley, and you want to push this down, and you're looking at a deflection of 13mm. If it's too loose, the belt will slip and it will not power the alternator properly. If it's too tight, it will cause stress and wear on the pulleys, so it has to be about 13mm, and you know that just by finger pushing it. And if it's tight, loosen it. If it's loose, tighten it. I will be doing a video on replacing the auxiliary belt at a later point. So we're checking the tightness of it, but we're also wanting to check the whole condition of the fan belt for tears, cracks, or any loose bits. So to do that, we need to get the whole length checked, and to do that we need to engage the car in top gear, so 4th gear, make sure it's on flat ground, and basically grab it and pull it back and forward. By doing that, it'll rotate this and it'll let us get a visual check of how this is here. So let's get that done. So the drive's fairly flat anyway, but this is going to be my point where the car can't go any further because I've put the wheel chuck down. Don't want it rolling away on me. Top gear, handbrake off. So this belt was changed, so I know it's fairly new, but that's how you check it, just by visually examining it, pulling the car, and making sure you're safe at the same time. And that's as straightforward as it is for the fan belt check. Right, we're going to do a check on the clutch hydraulics. So the first one is just the pedal. We're just going to check the pedal to see that it's not spongy, it doesn't wobble, and it's not too tough to push. You will notice this when you're driving, that's fairly obvious, but it's on the checks. So that's fairly nice to push. It's not loose. There's can't really see it too well, but there's the pivot point up here where the spring holds the two pedals together. What to do with that is just be careful with all the wires, but that gets a lubrication with oil just to keep that moving freely. So I can't really show it on camera unfortunately, but I'm going to get in there and get some oil on that. So along with the hydraulics on the pedal, I want to get in and check that there's no leaks in the pipes for the clutch here, and we also want to lubricate the pin, the clevis pin in the arm in here. So most models it's straightforward, it's just in here, but because this is an SPI model, it's got the ECU here, so it's just a couple of bolts to take the bracket off, and then I'll come back and I'll let you have a better look in there. So we're just having a look at the slave cylinder here, just checking for any signs of deterioration around the rubber or leaking from this end. If you can get in here to check the pipe on the other end that comes from the master cylinder, we're looking for that as well. What we're going to be doing is the pin here, the pivot point here, we're going to, and in here we're going to be lubricating with oil, just to keep that nice and free. If that seizes, that's going to cause some problems with the clutch. Right, as you can see, I've lubricated them with oil. You can see they're quite wet, the two pivot points in here and here. What I'm going to go and do is just pump the clutch pedal quite a few times just to get that lubrication right in between all the nuts and bolts. So then I'll just put some more oil on, do that a couple of times, and then I know that's that job done. So that's basically, at this stage anyway, it's just a visual check and lubrication for the clutch system. Under sealing time. So the subframe was done about 7-8 months ago, and you can see the surface rust coming through there. This is the front one, the back one was just the same, that's been done. Just these parts here. So light sand and some more wax oil on, should keep it going for a few more miles. And after. Makes such a difference. This was done just very quickly because I've got a lot of other things on my list. The list that I've just added to by looking under here. Visual check of the brakes. These discs have seen better days in terms of the side here. That's just with standing through the winter, but there is plenty of meat left on them. But to be honest, I do plan on overhauling the brakes, and for the price of discs and pads, they'll be getting replaced. As will the retaining clip, that's pretty nasty in there. But if you can see in here, there's quite a bit of meat left on the pads there. You can also probably get a better look in there, to be honest. You can see right in. There's a good what's that, 7-8 mil on that side, and probably the same again in there. So they don't need replaced straight away, but they're going to be on the list to do. So we're going to need to carry out a visual check of the steering and suspension components, one being the drive shaft gaiters here. What we're looking for on here is cracks or holes in the gaiter, because the job of this gaiter is to keep the grease in, because if you can imagine, when the wheel's spinning round and round, the grease is getting flung everywhere. If there's damage to that gaiter, that grease is escaping. The second job is to keep dirt and grease out, because if dirt or grease get in here, then it doesn't turn smooth, it damages the metal and the ball bearings inside, and then you're looking at a new CV joint. So you can check this from underneath. This one looks fairly new actually. I've not replaced it, but it does look in good condition. You're checking that, you're checking the overall condition of the drive shaft, which is this that runs here, back here, and into the pot joint, and then into the gearbox, the diff. So this could do with a wee tidy up, just cleaning and painting. The other side, just the same. Checking for leaks, tears from here. Like I say, this is in quite good condition. I'll get another look from above once the wheels are off, because I also need to check the tie rod ends, which are up here and on the other side, but obviously it's easier to do when the wheels are off. So this is a check from underneath, and when I get the car off the ramp and the wheels up, I can have a better look then. Right, with the wheel off, we can get a better look into the steering and suspension components. So you want to check the shock absorber here, just to see the condition of it. That's surface rust, so I'm not too concerned about that. What you're looking for is any signs of any leaks from the fluid from within, and any bad deterioration basically. You're also wanting to check the condition of the tie rod end in here. If there's any movement or play in this needs replaced, because your steering will not be as precise as it should be. Going back to the steering gaiter, just get a good feel in here, have a look for splits or tears. And as we've seen earlier on from below, the gaiter for the drive shaft, just get around that and have a look as best you can. Check the condition of the rubbers in terms of the bump stop here. Classic example, just came away in my hand. that'll be fun to replace. But that's why these checks are important, because of things like this. If the suspension fails in the cone, this is the only thing here that hits here. So yeah, that'll need replaced. Then you move round to parts like the tie rod here, the bushes here. You know, you're just carrying a visual check just to see if everything's in order. And that's pretty much it for the steering and suspension. Right, the first thing I'm going to go over is the seat belts. It's just a visual and physical check to make sure that the webbing and the actual belt's all safe without fray and tears in it. It does take a lot to wear these things out. And then just check that it's actually working, you know, it's actually catching. Then going around and checking the buckles that they actually click in and can't be pulled out, and they actually release. So the front two on here, like most minis, are inertia. The ones in the back here are static, so they have to be basically adjusted by the adjuster down there, you know, it doesn't reel back here. And again, just checking them. Not all minis obviously have rear seat belts, you know, depending on the age and the law at the time. If you can, get in and check that the sill and the area around the mounting bracket's solid, because especially sills on the Mini, that's a bad point for them. Right, this is a check on the seats. Right, so we're looking at the seats. We're just going to check that when they're down they're locked in place and they can't spring forward. And also check that when we pull this, it's working the mechanism underneath and that it can be lifted. So these ones here are fine, as expected. What we want to do is just carry out a visual check as well to make sure there's no signs of corrosion on the cross member or any of the hinges here, and just to make sure that there's nothing loose so that the seat can move from side to side or up and down. So guys, we'll conclude that there. That's the end of the 3 monthly checks. The next video I'll be going into is the 6 monthly checks, as I mentioned previously. We're covering things like an oil service, greasing suspension, amongst a lot of other important things. So tune back in then, and hopefully you're getting something from these. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!